Hello and welcome. This is really a potpourri style video. I'm going to start off within markets, but then I'm going to be transitioning into fantasy. I'm going to even go charts within that, as I'm going to put my year to date chart, bring that up for the first time. Even I'll be looking at it for the first time. And with that, of course, all bets, trades, and within the that's within each's own risk and their own reward. I really want to talk fantasy and the community. And when I say community, I'm talking about the social media community in general. So therefore, let's just go for the quick potpourri of charts. Now, this is just the interesting market right now, and that's Bitcoin. I did a video earlier stating that it's at a very interesting level of support. And well, short term, we should at least see some, or we can't. I couldn't say that. I can't say that. We should at least see some, which it kind of has, or holy crap, if it doesn't, we would have been, and we still could be, of course. Well, if we didn't find support here at 30, I mean, there's a good chance we'd be at like 26 or 25 or 27 by now, on the way to below 24. But I really don't. I mean, I've already done the Bitcoin video for today, talking about this bearish setup, yada, yada, yada. I don't need to really go over it too much further. But there's one aspect I want to go over because although I won't be going into fantasy right now, I want to transition this idea into fantasy sports because this is a situation where I literally have no idea. Oftentimes I'll come on here and I say I really like something to go up or down. And I guess I kind of have said short term. I kind of like the daily term time frame to go down. But this is what scares me about even that on the daily chart because I don't got any support on the monthly to back me up. I mean, it's the one time frame where I look at this, is just as much chance to me that this thing goes down to 20 or 24 than it does having a move to say like back to its previous high of 42, which is both the same equity but a 25% move. I don't know either way. Can you profit from stuff you don't know either way? Well, get to that in a bit. But for now, we'll get into silver. And I suppose I get into it here for a bit, in that of I say to myself, it's a guarantee to me. Silver is like that and really gold. The only thing that can hold my value for investment over the long term time frame. So therefore, and there's really no third party risks in many forms like you can have in stocks and just so many other different ventures or extra party risks, what have you. But the short term, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't need to know. But long term, I still got to know that the silver market's going to work out. So whether a move goes up or down like this, if you have a move price action goes back down below or 220 or not, I don't care. In fact, if it does, it's cheaper to buy. And then regardless of if it does or does not, the end result is going to end the same as it is, whether it does or doesn't. But that is that for silver. I haven't done as many silver content because it really hasn't done too much. It's been this correctionary phase, and from this quick move, it's really hung in there, but it hasn't broken out or down since this down day. And this down day now is 2.5 weeks ago. As far as gold, all that's considered, you look at the weekly, it entered really nicely into correctionary phase even last September for what it's worth. Long time. A little bit of a failed breakdown, no fast move, no concise fast move to the upside, but it's one of those spots where you have a move like this. Okay, well, it could either be a failed breakdown, but it hasn't anything there as far as a fast move, or it can be, okay, we're going to reverse the trend, but if we don't go down quick or much, maybe we'll move into this 18, which will most certainly be resistance. It thus has been so far, not getting above it, and then eventually hasn't done it yet. It'll leave below the 18 lows, and then we'll break down. We'll have weak support at 17 high change, and then we'll go down and we'll play in the 16s and maybe even go down to 15 something. Of course, all that's maybe. Short-term moves, whether it will break down the support and move it into the 16s, or whether we'll get above the highs into the 1900s and the 2000s. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I really don't know what that next move is going to be. Long term, though, I feel it's a safe bet. Just looking at one random Canadian cross versus US cross, that means for every $1 US, you get 1.27648 at this time. Now it's 51, whatever, on the Canadian front. I mean, when you look at the US dollar index, I'm not going to show it. It's one currency versus a bunch of others. And they're all basically pretty much done the exact same. But holding these paper rectangles and having a balance number within a financial institution, how safe is that? Question mark. And over the time frame of, well, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20. Something you pretty much need to ask yourself if you have any seriousness about if currency affects you in your life in any way. Like I can talk about, and I will be talking about fantasy sports, but let's get real. That doesn't affect many people at all. And even for a lot of people that it will affect them in other ways, bankroll management more than anything. So it's, yeah, if it means anything to you, maybe you'll research it. But if it doesn't, who cares, right? All that type of stuff. And then we can move into another one. This is a cryptocurrency a lot of people most certainly don't care about. That's Hedera hash graph. Even on this channel, there's probably a few that don't. But I'm sure because I cover it, a few of you might be in it. And congratulations for those that have been. I mean, what a move we've seen. This thing has been trading at a level of resistance that it's gone above. This is a fantastic move. It's had high volume coming in for this play, breaking this level of resistance that it first hit at the start of the previous year. Spending the whole year within the neutral consolidation period, and well, not really, but it was just neutral consolidation because this has been adjusted. Because actually, I spent the whole year from this side of this low holding really the close to 3 cent mark, which was significantly higher than the 1 penny mark it had at the start of 2020. Now it's gotten to a dime. So when does it get to $1? Question mark. Answer. I don't know the answer, but it could be tomorrow, but probably not, because I would need to see like plus 1,500% on the ticker. When's the last time you've seen a coin have that? Well, you might have a better chance of that than hitting 6 numbers on the Powerball. And the Powerball will pay you more on the return, of course, but that's because it's much harder. Of course, what's the chances of that percentage happening, say, within a week? Well, it's not. It's more likely, but it's still many in one. Okay, how about within the next month? Well, it's more realistic. I'd be thinking the answer is, but within 30 days or so, whatever, that time frame, 28, 35, not as likely. Now you start to go 60, 100, 200, 500, and each time you increase the amount of days, the more likely it then becomes. And then at what point can I really realistically say, does it have anywhere near not only a 25% likelihood, but even 33%? And does it go 50% likely to go to $1, not only period, but by a specific time? And how sick, and just to put that into perspective, if anything is unit at 0.08, and you're talking about a price objective to 1, 10x would make that 0.8 itself, and you'd still need to go 20 more basis points. So now you're talking about like a 12, like exactly that of a 12.5 times increase. So if you could find something that could hit 1 in 12.5, that you're paid, something that would pay you 12.5 to 1 odds, and it could hit 10% of the time, then that's a long-term winning play. And how much more of a winning play if it happens 15, 20, 30, 40, 50% of the time? Yes, a lot of it can come with weight. So within the cryptos, you really have to ask yourself, I think, 2 questions before you. Well, the first one is the likelihood Bitcoin actually works the crypto game itself, and there's no major fail. And then the second one is the particular coins you're looking at. What's the chances it has that kind of gain? For if you were to buy, say, 100 different coins of equal value and then just stick them in a hardware wallet somewhere, please put them in a hardware wallet over the exchange. But do what you need to do. I don't like exchanges to have funds on there. I mean, they're needed and they're great to trade with and everything, but they make my fees for me when I make trades and I withdraw the coins off the exchange. And actually, as far as they're concerned, they need to have enough people holding coins for orders, for liquidity and such. But, I mean, if I was an exchange, I would rather you take them off and hold them yourself than you hold them on our end and do nothing with them, because then it's our responsibility to hold them. And then it's but it's just, yeah, for me, I would rather hold my own coins. So that's why coins like these, they can have those fantastic moves at any given time. And they have in the past. 2017, of course, a fantastic rally. We've seen the volatile moves. This is went from 12 cents down to 8. So we've seen it lose a third of its value just like that. Yet it's lost a third of its value when the daily chart looks like that. It's like one of those how do you do kind of deals. And there's still a long ways away to come back to where we came from at that 6 cent mark. And I'll do one final one before going into fantasy, and that will be that of Tezos. Higher highs, higher lows. We'll see if this is a higher low. It's kind of where it would have to be. If you look at the pattern, we got here at the 193, then we got this low at like 207, then this low north of the 227 barely, and right now it's been at like 263, and I suppose it could like 250 or something, be a nice higher low still, but the trend line of this is at the bottom end. Hasn't broke support or resistance. It has to at some point, and then it has to have either go sideways or revert the trend probably from there. But what I see on this, of course, the resistance that it had first on November 25th, but it didn't spend much time there. A little bit of time around 260, but even then not much. And then it comes up on the start of the year, January 10th, and it again doesn't spend much time in that area. Then it comes up there January 16th. A little bit of time. There was one failed day, so technically speaking, the entire time up until today and these couple days or so in here, it still has a second opportunity to hold and stay above 284. Let's put it that way. Or even you could say hold above 272 or whatever. In fact, it is still above 265, but just can it hold this big area of where it came from? And to me, it would come down to first look at 240, but yes and no. I mean, if it does, so be it. But 240 is barely a higher low to that, so I really rather not for the market perspective. Of course, I'd rather like bigger V-shaped formations for trading purposes, but then I get better buyback. So I'm always going to cheer for a bit extra if it's going to go down for that purpose. But the range I'd like to see it hold would probably be about 250 as the lowest point even, to the area of around where we are now at 272, which represents this high here from September. It represents more the consolidation period from the November and again at the start of the year. So if we can stay above that, and especially because it had this failed breakdown below and it hasn't had a concise fast move yet either, so it's we'll see how it goes. But one of these times you're just going to see, oh my goodness, 1 day, 4, 5, 6 day, these things just go sky high, fly. Anyway, that'll be it for crypto. So those tuning out now, thank you for watching and those staying. Let's now focus in on fantasy sports, something that I've been doing really well at, and it's so many different forms of risk reward management, what I consider advantage gambling for that matter. I mean, you could do that within trading markets. You can do that traditional sports gambling, playing poker, so many different measures. But those who put the most time and effort and just are very good at the aspect that they're doing are going to have better results. And what I've made is a graph here, which is my year-to-date income, $1,736.80, which is nothing. It's good. It's not really great either. If you look at it, if you make that for a year, that would be like a little over 20 grand. That's not great, but I still got 4 days left in the month. 5 actually, 27, 28, 29, 30. Yeah, 5 days left in the month, and hockey hasn't been available since mid-month. So this has just been the last few days. I've done over 10,000 lineups. This is for the year, 11,000 paid lineups. This is what I do oftentimes. I'll just like randomly just put a few random numbers in, and then maybe put like a 0 in here. And I was at one point up to close to 1950, but I've lost the last few days. I suppose that happens. Markets go up, markets go down, and for me, what I talk about is risk reward management, and when you get gains and holding them. And this has been an interesting level because when I get unlucky, everything seems to barely go up or go sideways, and it's happening again because that's what's been going on lately. I've been like not so lucky, and I'm like not losing. And you're gonna see I had a significant gain just a while back. See, there's where I was just going down, like supporting 1,500 net gain, resisting here a little bit this. So for the last so many days, just going sideways. I'm doing the wrong thing again. So this will probably now show me a good gain here. Well, that was a decent loss and gain. That happens though. And there's a spot where you gain at this stage up to, you make 1,000, give it back. Make 1,000. Well, haven't given it back so far. I've been just going sideways. And I'm just now going to make this go to so there's the year-to-date spots. Now this was several hockey games, and you wouldn't have there was 3 games in one day that was just, you couldn't believe the things that would occur. And one of the bets I'm always going to be loving that I lost, just because it just happened to be the one time you betted it. Of course, the only time it could have betted it lost, and that is no to the overtime in the Super Bowl when I took like a minus 800 price or something like that, minus 900. It was maybe minus 1,000, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna bet it. I wouldn't do more than minus 1,000. There's no way. I spent like 20 minutes, 25 minutes looking at not only I looked at previous games which have very close totals and spreads, and look at the odds that they went to overtime, and it was well lower than 10%. But during that game, I'm thinking, okay, well, the odds that it needs to go to overtime, and back in that game, it was like Atlanta was up by like 3 scores. I was like, well, this, and this all has to happen, and all that did happen. It was like, oh my goodness, wow. And then in this, it was like for like 3 games, it was like over and over again. Oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it. But you know what? You go through it, and situational play means that, how do you maintain the risk? Because on a spot like this, I was reducing stakes. Like here, I would have won more on this day had this not happened. Why? Because my stakes for these die kept on going down each time. So I would have probably been up, if I would have bet like larger stakes that I'd be betting now, I would have made 2,500 or so. But that is, I would have been much sicker actually. Now that I remember, I would have maybe made a lot more. So I'm remembering that day now. So I've been able to twice secure $1,000 figure score. And how do I figure this out? Well, you can download all the data, and I've played so many different games. This is the lineups that I play: NHL Classic. This all starts back to soccer. It's lots of fun. But the comment that I want to go over is this is very interesting, because all the people that I've talked to in poker, and I've heard a few of them get into cryptos and such, but I just don't see too much in cross-reference. I don't see too many people who do the traditional, I'm going to lay so many points on this, go over the total here, bet this way with the traditional Vegas-style market. Really coincide too much within this here. Also, I've noticed I don't listen to. There's not much good information. I don't find it. I find it very difficult to get good information on the internet. And for myself, if I were to put up a hockey show, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'd really have to be strategic in how I would do it, because there's a lot of information I can't give away, and I'm definitely not going to sway people in the wrong direction to my advantage. If it works out that I could sway people in the right direction to my advantage, that would be fantastic. And of course I would, but I would never, of course, do anything like that. But I can never say this that's going to hurt me, because you're playing the same games as me, because everyone else is playing these games. And for me, I'm looking at EPL Showdown. I'm doing this at 1:10 p.m. I got a showdown at 2 o'clock. So I got like 5-10 minutes. I'm back to work. And I go on the internet to find information, because I got PGA coming here this weekend. And there's PGA Tour right there. And I know nothing about inside information on the players. So YouTube is great information to find that stuff out. I just haven't found much great fantasy content on there. Maybe just because I haven't been looking and whatnot, or looking as well. I mean, Pat Mayo, to me, who's a legacy broadcaster, I've been watching him for the last 6-7 years. He gives me great. Him and Jeff Freeberg give me the information I need for golf. Basketball, I bet $1 a day in pro and $1 a day in the college game, because I don't know anything about it, but I also haven't really all the channels that I've watched before just haven't really worked too well. So unfortunately, I haven't found too much for great content out there, which to me I think is a good thing, maybe because other people aren't getting it, and that's kind of how I want it. Maybe in the hockey business, I don't know. I mean, I was once in doing a shows like this, and then I realized that there was too many. I was thinking there was too many people giving out this information for free, that the ownership levels on the DraftKings and FanDuel were getting out of control, weird and wacky. My mistake was to not understand the numbers and adjust to the situation. It seems to have gotten a little bit back to normal again, I think. But I'm going referring back to like 2016, I think. It would be 2016 season. And in such, I took a small break from it instead on the fantasy game, rather than try to figure it. Because I was in the business of doing YouTube stuff. I had channels and all that stuff, and I just had a web page, and I thought, you know what, fine, no, going to get out of doing it, and I just pretty much shut down, withdrew from all the sites that I had funds on, and just stopped playing. Got to the stage where I was then playing just for the gambling games, as I look at it, $3, $5, $10, $20 games on DraftKings for like the big Sunday football tickets. And then it escalated where I figured out how to win in hockey. I've started doing good in soccer too, but for me, all these bets are NHL, and I make a lot of different wagers. Tonight, there's 2 different hockey games tonight, and long term, I feel that I can put up some decent games, but over 20% ROI is what the result comes into, which is very much below mod. I expect higher than that number, but in time I think, well, that also doesn't, it's not like there's much for this month, include breakbacks, but with breakbacks, this might be go 90, like $53, bit more than 53. So I'm like $9,500 back with rakeback, and I'll make back, I'm estimating in rakebacks this year over $2,000, well over $2,000 to $3,000, well over two, no, it's to be over 2,000. I'm expecting to get back in rake, because it can be extremely high. In fact, based on this, I've already paid them. It's close to 20%. So I've already paid them like well over like $1,300, $1,200 in rake. I mean, they're making money all the time. Like that's what the house does, and they're supposed to. Why would they not? And why would they stay in? They have to stay in business as well. But I understand ways of getting some of it back. But I'm going to be spending probably a decent amount in wager sizes when the year comes to an end, because hockey's been around for like a couple plus weeks now, a couple weeks or so, and it's got a long ways to go until the Stanley Cup final, and then the season will restart again, hopefully in like October, November again. But when I do hear people talk in the fantasy community, they always talk about how those 50-50s and double-ups are the way to go as professional players, especially with playing these different lineups, and they call them cash games and everything. And the only way I can say I believe it, and it's going to be a total disagreement as it is anyway, is as well as your normal games, like your quarter jukebox and your dime times and your, well, for hockey, I play dime times, quarter jukebox. There's also a hip check. Where are we seeing them? Actually, I just gotta go like this to read them. Yeah, 2-man advantage, enforcer, hip check. These are all like what I call cash games, but you guys call them tournaments. See, I call cash games for that because things like I love satellites. I play them all the time when I can find them. Let me see if I can find some on here. Of course, I'm not finding any. Satellite, there's got to be, yeah, satellite. I've only won 3 of these satellite tickets so far. But things like that, I love to play them. I'm trying to win as many Millionaire Maker tickets for the Super Bowl. I've got one. I'm doing my best that I can. Maybe I won the 12 o'clock football game and haven't checked, because there's a Madden. Although, no, that was classic all day. Never mind. But I like to it's a game to try to win as many of these tickets that I can. And it's just part of the game. It's all about the game and how you play it. Thank you if you have any questions, let me know. Because to me, I feel that, one thing I want to say, I just think there's a lot of content that could be on YouTube that's really good, because the only guy I'm really impressed with for helping me on DraftKings, only 2 people, they're together, I guess, is the Pat Mayo show. I've been watching him, though, since like 20, Oh, geez, 20. Wow. Probably 20 since the start of fantasy football for me. 20. Oh, buying like fantasy wagering like 2014 is when I started, I guess. Maybe before then for just normal lineup constructions. But I've been in fantasy football, yeah, for 7 years. Be 7 years, 6.5 years now. It's to me, it's and the whole sports betting is like more open to everything. I'm watching sports games. I'm talking about they're seeing these shows. Oh, I'm betting on this player at 14-1 odds to get the first goal. Oh, really? Or plus 175. This player will score today. I'm seeing these on my hockey games. I'm watching both Canadian and American. They're just open to sports betting more and more. The whole legalization of it and everything is just so fantastic to see. Thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. And yeah, I just think that there needs to be better shows on YouTube. And here I am just not making one. And I don't know. I think there should be more shows that are better. Take care.